Hi guys, so today is a room build. It's a guest bathroom, Christmas themed. This was for one room, 1 week, one theme challenge on the Sims forum, and I think it turned out quite nice. So for the holidays, I am doing something special. I'm going to talk a little bit first for the first couple of minutes in this video, but then I'm going to read a story, Christmas story. This Christmas story has been in my childhood since I can remember. It's from a Danish writer called Hans Christian Andersen. Seeing as I'm Norwegian, we have this really close relationship with the rest of the Scandinavian countries, and we do adopt each other's stories. The story I'm going to read is really sad, but please don't think of it as a really sad story. Just think of it as a story that lets you know how to treat other people. Take some wisdom from this. So yeah, a little bit about the bathroom before I start the story is it's not a big bathroom, it's a guest bathroom, but I really like the brown tones and the natural colors, and then I kind of like I make a bathroom that's usable all year round, but then I decorate it for Christmas. So it's getting smaller and smaller, as you can see, but I don't really think that guest bathrooms should be that big because you have your own ensuite or your own private bathroom, which guests don't use. In Norway, it's not normal to actually have a guest bathroom, but oh well. Or if you do have a guest bathroom, it's probably only a room with a toilet and a sink, nothing else. So I was generous considering my Norwegian tendencies in adding a bathtub in here. So yeah, luckily I do have seasons, and there's lots of cool Christmas decorations in seasons, so I do use a lot of those. I use the reindeer decorations that's supposed to be on the lawn, but I just size them down and put them on a shelf. Where you can see here, I make shelves for both the mirror and for the window. I really like this effect. It looks like a window ledge, but yeah. So I also add some other decorations on these window ledges, which I put in a while. I removed them, but then I decided to put them in anyways. There is this thing that in The Sims it says it's for Kwanzaa, but actually in Norway we have these kinds of candlesticks with 7 arms. I think it's inspired from the menorah. I'm not quite sure, but we usually put them in the window in December. I think it's 7 arms, or is it 10? I really can't remember. I actually don't have one myself. I'm not the most Christmassy person, but shh, don't tell anyone. And it's electric. You can see them in almost every window, at least in one window in every home in Norway before Christmas. So yeah, decorating for Christmas on Sims. I haven't decorated my own home yet, so probably won't. I'm going away for Christmas. I'm going to my boyfriend's family. I think it's going to be nice. We're going to eat traditional ribbe, which is pork, and some other good stuff. I think it's going to be nice. So I really hope you have a wonderful holiday and Merry Christmas to everyone. I hope you enjoy the story, or at least take some wisdom from it. The Little Match Girl by Hans Christian Andersen. Most terribly cold it was. It snowed and was nearly quite dark. The last evening of the year. In this cold and darkness there went along the streets a poor little girl, bareheaded and with naked feet. When she left home she had slippers on, it is true. But what was the good of that? They were very large slippers, which her mother had told her to wear. So large were they that the poor little thing lost them as she scuffled away across the street because of 2 carriages that rolled by dreadfully fast. One slipper was nowhere to be found, the other had been laid hold of by an urchin, and off he ran with it. He thought it would do capitally for a cradle when he some day or other should have children himself. So the little maiden walked on her tiny naked feet that were quite red and blue from cold. She carried a quantity of matches in an old apron, and she held a bundle of them in her hand. Nobody had bought anything of her the whole livelong day. No one had given her a single farthing. She crept along trembling with cold and hunger, a very picture of sorrow, the poor little thing. The flakes of snow covered her long fair hair, which fell in beautiful curls around her neck. But of that, of course, she never once thought. From all the windows the candles were gleaming, and it smelt so delicious of roast goose. For you know it was New Year's Eve, yes, of that she thought. In a corner formed by two houses, of which one advanced more than the other, she seated herself down and cowered together. Her little feet she had drawn close up to her, but she grew colder and colder, and to go home she did not venture, for she had not sold any matches and could not bring a farthing of money. From her father she would certainly get blows, and at home it was cold too, for above her she had only the roof, through which the wind whistled, even though the largest crack were stopped up with straw and rags. Her little hands were almost numbed with cold. Oh, a match might afford her a world of comfort. If she only dared take a single one out of the bundle, draw it against the wall, and warm her fingers by it. She drew one out, rich. How it blazed, how it burned! It was a warm, bright flame like a candle. As she held her hands over it, it was a wonderful light. It seemed really to the little maiden as though she was sitting before a large iron stove with burnished brass feet and a brass ornamented top. The fire burned with such blessed influence. It warmed so delightfully. The little girl had already stretched out her feet to warm them too, but the small flame went out. The stove vanished. She had only the remains of the burned-out match in her hand. She rubbed another one against the wall. It burned brightly, and where the light fell on the wall, there the wall became transparent, like a veil, so that she could see into the room. On the table was spread a snow-white tablecloth. Upon it was a splendid porcelain china, and the roast goose was steaming famously with its stuffing of apple and dried plums. And what was still more capital to behold was when the goose hopped down from the dish, reeled about on the floor with knife and fork in its breast till it came up to the poor little girl. When the match went out and nothing but a thick, cold, damp wall was left behind, she lighted another match. Now there she was sitting under the most magnificent Christmas tree. It was still larger and more decorated than the one she had seen through the glass door in the rich merchant's house. Thousands of lights were burning on the green branches, and galley-colored pictures, such as she had seen in the shop windows, looked down upon her. The little maiden stretched out her hands towards them. The match went out. The lights of the Christmas tree rose higher and higher. She saw them now as stars in heaven. One fell down and formed a long trail of fire. "Someone is just dead," said the little girl, for her old grandmother, the only person who had loved her and who was now no more, had told her that when a star falls, a soul ascends to God. She drew another match against the wall. It was again light, and in the lustre there stood the old grandmother, so bright and radiant, so mild, and with such an expression of love. "Grandmother," cried the little one, "oh, take me with you. You go away when the matches burn out. You vanish like the warm stove, like the delicious roast goose, and like the magnificent Christmas tree." And she rubbed the whole bundle of matches quickly against the wall, for she wanted to be quite sure of keeping her grandmother near her, and the matches gave such a brilliant light that it was brighter than at noonday. Never formerly had the grandmother been so beautiful and so tall. She took the little maiden on her arm, and both flew away in brightness and in joy, so high, so very high. And then above was neither cold nor hunger nor anxiety. They were with God. But in the corner, at the cold hour of dawn, sat the poor girl, with rosy cheeks and with a smiling mouth, leaning against the wall, frozen to death on the last evening of the old year. Stiff and stark sat the child there with her matches, of which one bundle had burned. She wanted to warm herself, people said. No one had the slightest suspicion of what beautiful things she had seen. No one even dreamed of the splendor in which, with her grandmother, she had entered on the joys of a new year.